Hello and welcome to the latest edition of Rangers Women's Supporters Group podcast. We're recording this on Monday after the game. I'm Alan and I'm joined this week by Car. How are you doing, Car?
Yeah, not bad. The recording started a bit delayed there, so I think I just cut out all of your intro there, but never mind.
Let's people get straight into it, especially if we're recording this a day late. So we'll jump into the team. Obviously, fresh off the back of a big win last week in the Old Firm game. We saw a change of shape again and quite a few changes. Jenna Fife started in goals with a back three, Ailey Austin, Laura Rafferty and Tess Maydag. Midfield looked a wee bit different for playing this formation with Chelsea Cornett holding, with Megan Bell and Camille Lefay in front, Lizzie Arnott and Mia McCauley in the wings, and then Jane Ross and Kirsty Howitt starting up front. Surprised at how many changes there was, Kat?
A bit. I thought she'd maybe make some changes. Maybe formation would change again. Maybe we'd go back to the back four. Also, we didn't know that she'd leave so many players out with Charlie Devlin not being in the squad and Leah Eddy not being in the squad. But I didn't expect Ailey, Megan, them to come in and then Jane to start and Kirsty beside her. But it's obviously a game where she thought she could try something different and see how we get on. But took a wee while to get into it because of that, because there were so many changes. Basically, Megan's not played a lot of minutes this season. Ailey's had a few, but not necessarily with those players. So certainly made it a bit interesting to pack the midfield and go a back three of really only one starting. Well, even then, Raf's not played that much. So it's really a complete mishmash of a team.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think that sort of line-up at the back adds the balance that we had when we started playing that formation last year with Rachel and Nick as the right centre-backs. Tess is more capable of going forward, but she's not going to be as dynamic as, Nick or even Ailey on the other side. So I did think that maybe left us a wee bit unbalanced, but quite interesting to see two more attacking central midfielders playing with Megan and Camille together.
Yeah, especially when they've not played together this season because Megan's not really played. So Megan's a lot different of a player compared to the likes of Charlie Devlin, who Camille's kind of played alongside, but usually with Liv in between or Kirsty McLean in between. So it definitely adds a different balance to the team. But then they were moving around a lot. Chelsea was in the back line at one point. So it was just, they're all just moving all over the place with really only the front two staying up top. But it's a bit weird. I don't know if I liked it, to be honest. I think we need to go back to 4-4-2.
It was an interesting change, but obviously we know Cathy and no Nick in the team. It was Chelsea Cornett that took the armband. Surprised to see Chelsea starting after just coming back last week.
Not overly surprised she started. Surprised with how long she played more than anything, because I didn't expect her to get quite so long as she did. But yeah, I guess Liv needs a rest. Kirsty McLean, we've got to remember, is just back from injury, but coming back from an injury the last few months. So I guess it makes sense if you're trying to give Chelsea some more minutes before she goes away with Scotland to start her, compared to just bringing her off the bench for a few minutes at the end kind of thing. But I don't know. It's bizarre to me that she's just back from injury, but then it's probably Chelsea, isn't it? She's probably said, look, I'm fine. I want to play as much as I can before I go away on international break, so let me play kind of thing.
Yeah, every possibility, but it wasn't a particularly great start. What do you think it was? Do you think it was the conditions? Do you think it was down to how many changes we had? Because passes were being overhit and nothing was quite coming off.
Yeah, I mean, we were creating chances. The opening kind of 10 minutes, we had numerous chances to go in front, and we just couldn't seem to put the ball in the back of the net. But as you said, that a fair few overhit balls that Mia was running onto in the first half, and she just couldn't get to it because they were just being hit far too hard for her. And then just some sloppy play in and around the midfield. But I think that probably is down to the changes, that they've not played a lot of football together, so they're trying to figure it out. I don't think the conditions were that bad. It was a bit windy, but if you compare it to the Hibs game that we played at Meadowbank rather, it's not anything compared to that. The wind wasn't that bad. But so I think it probably was just the amount of changes that were made. They were just trying to figure out they're wanted from the person behind them.
Jane and Kirsty starting up front obviously had a few chances early on, but wasn't quite happening. Do you think that's just a lack of sharpness when they've not played up front so much?
I guess it would have to be, or maybe it's confidence. Maybe not so much for Jane, but for Kirsty, I think she's maybe not feeling as confident. I mean, she had probably would come on to it, but she had 2 clear-cut chances to put us in front, and one especially where she's past the keeper and all she needs to do is put it into the net and somehow puts it wide. So that's probably just a case of she has been playing in behind or alongside doing the kind of harder yards rather than being the main striker kind of thing that's making her rusty, I suppose. But I wouldn't know, you need to ask them, but I think it probably is that.
As typically happens if you're not starting especially well. It wasn't one of the usual first goal scorers, was it, Car?
Well, I did ask at the game, does the first goal scorer still count on the predictor if they score first? But apparently it doesn't.
It obviously does, but I don't think anybody, well, I know for a fact that nobody had this first goal score. What happened, Car?
You tell me. I don't really understand what happened. I mean, they play a ball behind Rafts in front of the Dundee United player. Tess is kind of alongside her. She needs to either clear the ball or make a tackle or something, but she just kind of runs past her. Jenna's come out, has committed, then changed her mind, started to try and run backwards. She's tripped, and the Dundee United player, all she needs to do is kind of dink it over Jenna into the back of the net. If Jenna's going to come out, she needs to come out all the way then and just close the angle, or wait till later and then come out and close the angle. But Raf, probably just down to not playing much, needs to do a bit better there and either clear the ball or make a tackle to try and stop that.
See, that's what I thought of the game, and I've watched the replay, benefit we're recording a day later than usual. We actually saw the replays, but I think between Tess and Raf, they have to deal with that. I thought Jenna looked like she was coming out, but I don't know if it was the wind, but it seemed like the ball wasn't going as far as she thought. That's made her hesitate, and then she just lost her footing, sort of trying to backpedal. So really sort of poor goal all round, but were you pleased with how we reacted to it?
Yeah, I mean, it took us 10 minutes after that to score, which you want us to do it almost immediately, but we were, again, created a few chances between that. So we kept going. It's not like the heads dropped and we gave up, but it's a good goal. Kirsty needs to do a little bit better, I'd say. She kind of turns the wrong direction for me. She maybe needs to turn towards goal, but she kind of half takes a shot on, the ball bounces off the defender, goes to Jane, and all Jane needs to do is smash it into the back of the net. It's a pretty well-worked goal when the ball gets to Kirsty and onwards, but Kirsty maybe confidence-wise or something just needs to think a little bit. She could turn around the other way and potentially score herself.
I think it was probably something we saw quite a lot in the game. Dundee United were very committed, sitting in the box and defending for our lives. So it was really important that we actually kept the ball alive, and that's what got us a goal. Kirsty sort of keeping on to the ball and managing and force it back to Jane, and you want chances of that falling to Jane Ross.
It's what she does, and she's not had that much game time this season, as you'd expect with Rio being there and Kate Wilkinson coming in and scoring hat-trick after hat-trick. She is probably going to be one that will be benched a little bit, but she got given the opportunity yesterday and she took it, I'd say, with both hands. The way that, her all-round play is very good. She doesn't look like a player that people were hypothesizing was going to retire at the end of this season. She's definitely still got it going on, and she scores the opening 2 goals, well, for us anyway, after we've conceded. They've scored. Do you want me to just run into that goal?
Well, I was just going to ask you about that. If the first goal was a typical sort of Jane Ross goal, the second probably less a typical Jane Ross goal.
She's been known to take strikes from long ranges before, so it's one that's. She's done it occasionally, but she is more of a technical player, isn't she? In and around the box, she'll get goals from there. But I'd say Ailey does really well for this goal. She does really well to keep the ball. It comes from a... No, that's the next goal. I'm getting too far ahead of myself. Ailey does well to keep the ball. James, she's outside the box. I don't know how far outside the box. She's I don't know, 5 or 10 yards outside the box. The ball gets to her and she just hits the ball, and the keeper really should be doing better there. I mean, it's not a great goal from that standpoint, but from Jane's standpoint, to hit that ball and it goes in the back of the net, exactly what you want players to take shots from outside the box from long ranges.
It's something we've been badly lacking. I think we've all spoke about that this season. We're not taking enough shots from outside the box, so absolutely brilliant to see that going in. And another shot from outside the box from a quick free kick led to the next goal. Not quite your typical goal.
No, it's not, and I'm kind of annoyed at the highlights, to be honest, because they don't move the camera quick enough to get the full effect of Megan's, I'll say shot, but probably more than likely a cross. But Kirsty gets fouled, quickly takes the free kick, ball falls to Megan, who just absolutely smashes the ball, hits on the corner between where the post and the crossbar meet, and then Camille's there to just kind of run into the ball and push it over the line. They all count. It goes in the back of the net. I initially thought it was Jane because they look quite similar when they're running towards the goal, but it's a good goal. I'm gutted for Megan that it didn't go in, because that would have been an all-timer for her if that had gone in, but it's just unfortunate it hit where it hit, but Camille's there to put it in the back of the net.
Yeah, I think Megan did see the keeper off her line a bit, and I think, knowing how Megan plays, it was definitely a shot, but you probably summed up it really well. It wasn't so much a finish by Camille as her just running into the ball and making sure she forced it over the line. But 3-1 after a shaky start at half time. You expecting many changes at half time?
Well, we saw Kathy warming up pretty intensely during the half time. I forgot what the word was there. Half time, she's out, she's already in her shorts, she's got her training stuff off and is warming up, so I assumed that she was coming on. I don't know if I really thought anybody else was coming on, but I assumed Kathy was coming on. I thought it would have been harsh to potentially take Ailey off, or Camille was doing pretty well, so I think it's probably the right call to just change it up at the back a little bit, add a little bit more reinforcements in there, and then as the game went on, can make more changes.
Yeah, in the end up, it was only Kathy coming on at half time. She came on for Test, went into the centre of defence and took the armband for a second half, and Laura Rafferty moved out to the left. Do you think Laura looked more comfortable playing wide in the three as opposed to the centre?
Didn't really notice too much of a change, to be honest. She was also getting forward a lot more, being out wider rather than being in the centre, but I can't say I particularly noticed much of a difference, if I'm being brutally honest.
It did take a wee while for us to actually see any more goals. Before we did, we saw Kirsty McLean and Katie Wilkinson coming on for Megan Bell and Camille Lefay.
Yeah, I think that was probably right. Camille was playing pretty well, so it's kind of harsh to take her off, but if you're looking for goals, you want to bring Wilco on. That's kind of just how it works at this point. Megan going off, it's a bit annoying, but then Kirsty McLean's Kirsty McLean, so I think she adds something a bit different there. She's a bit more, I want to say technically gifted, but they're both technically gifted in their own way, but Kirsty McLean is a menace to everyone in the midfield, and with Megan not playing as much as she probably has, it probably makes sense to give Kirsty, who's not going away on international duties, some more minutes.
Definitely, and something different seeing Katie Wilkinson playing in the centre midfield.
Yeah, a bit odd for me. I don't know if I like it, to be honest. I think she's more suited up front, but with having Kirsty and Jane on at that point, it makes sense to throw her in and then give Kirsty more minutes up front. I don't like it. Put her up front for me all day.
We spawned quite a few chances, in the lead up, and it looked like it would, as well as not being Kirsty's day. I thought it was maybe not going to be Mia's day in front of goal, but eventually more good work by Ailey. And I know Sky haven't credited her with the assist, but I think she more than deserves the assist for Mia to finally get in the score sheet.
Yeah, Ailey's just bombing down the wing looks over, sees Mia's in the middle of the goal, essentially, plays the ball across, and all Mia needs to do is settle herself down and then take the shot, and it's past the goalkeeper. I mean, Ailey's tremendous. I think she always is when she plays, but especially, in the second half, she was really involved in everything, taking a few shots on, which is always, I don't think Ailey needs much encouragement to do that, to take a few long-range shots on, but she was just everywhere. She was doing really well, and to see that Mia was in there and to put that ball in rather than try and take the shot on herself, I think was really good play from her.
I thought touching on Ellie, she was like most of the team, didn't start the game well, but she really grew into the game as it went on, and it was good to see her get her 90 minutes, because too often when we're not playing well, Ellie will maybe come off early and not get a chance to grow into the game, so that was good to see her get the full game.
Yeah, I think sometimes she's maybe a little bit of a scapegoat there, where obviously the players that are in front of her, so to speak, in the team, if we're struggling a bit, it does make sense to bring her off. But I think yesterday, she deserved to stay on for the full game. As you say, the first half, everyone was a bit off it, but the second half, I think she really, grew into it. And with Mia and her seem to have quite a good partnership. They play quite well together. So Ailey bombing up and down that wing, and all Mia needs to do is be in and around the box and things happen. But as you say, struggling a little bit to get goals. She was, firing them at the keeper and all around the goal. But Ailey was doing her best to try and help her there.
Definitely. And there was no hat trick for Jane. She went off for Rio, but always good to see Rio Hardy come on. And that leaves us with Rio Hardy, Katie Wilkinson and Kirsty Howitt all on the park. So good to see.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of annoyed, but I think it makes sense. I don't know if it was you or Demi said at the game, sometimes they start trying too hard to get the hat trick for the player that's on 2 goals. So I
was Demi who said that.
We'll give it to Demi then that she said that. So I think it makes sense. Take her off, and then you've got Rio Hardy coming on, who's just a goal machine. You end the game with your 3 main strikers on the pitch. Fair enough, in a different formation than they probably would normally be, but you're looking for goals and you bring them on, that makes a difference. But it's kind of harsh on Jane to not get a hat trick.
She was a wee bit unlucky, 1 or 2 chances, but there's still hat tricks to come for Jane Ross, I'm sure. But before last sub, it was really good to see both Chelsea Cornet and Kirsty McLean on the park at the same time. It's been very, very rare that we've been able to see that this calendar year.
Yeah, I mean, with both of them having injuries and whatnot, it's been difficult to have them both on the pitch. But we know from, earlier in the season and last season how well they play together. They both offer something completely different, which is just ideal when you've got 2 players that can play side by side and have that difference, so that that one can go forward and Kirsty McLean spinning and frilling and doing all the stuff that she does, and Chelsea can be there to be the bulldozer, so to speak, and be more defensively minded at times. So, yeah, it's good to see them back together, and hopefully that's a sign of things to come with both of them back to full fitness, playing alongside each other, and then you throw Liv into the mix somewhere around there, and what a midfield that is.
Absolutely, and I do wonder if that's maybe why we saw a change of shape in the middle. Sacrificing playing with a 10, having it in mind to have Kirsty McLean, Liv and Chelsea all in the midfield.
You might be onto something there. I hadn't really given that much thought. That's probably going to be the case, isn't it? That for wanting to play them, you essentially have to have more midfielders on. So it makes sense to. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. Good point, though.
I'll take that. But something that usually grates on Ollie is watching the game is short corners. And they just weren't particularly effective yesterday. But eventually, Lizzie did what we were asking to do. Straight into the box, and who do you want on the end of that?
Well, normally it's Wilco's head, but we'll take them wherever they come from. It doesn't really matter. But I think I said the second before this corner was taken, can we just take it long, please? Because I was getting fed up with the short corners. Not every team in this league, I think, has figured out that we're going to do that. It just never comes to anything now. So I don't know why, when Lizzie's on the pitch and taking corners, why we don't just fire them into the box. Because this happens. I mean, Lizzie puts it into the box. Wilco kind of jumps a bit and then kicks it, or it kind of comes off her leg into the back of the net. Exactly what you want. And you thought at that point, well, the game's done. kind of run them ragged. They were going, their keeper especially was going down with cramp or some kind of injury. About 3 or 4 times she went down. So I was hoping maybe we'd get a few more, but one more.
One more, and it came from something that you'd mentioned earlier about Laura Rafferty getting forward a wee bit more. You know, it was Laura Rafferty driving forward. We're in injury time by this point, but she plays the ball through into the box. Kirsty Howitt's running through, and then just quite honestly just cleaned out by a defender.
Nothing dubious about this penalty this week, which is nice for a change. That it's a clear-cut penalty. I'm sure someone will disagree with that, but yeah, as you say, Raf did really well here to just see Kirsty where she was, play the ball through, and perfectly weighted. As we said in the first half, they kept playing those balls through, and there was just too much on it. Whereas this one's perfect. Kirsty gets to the end of it, but it's just absolutely cleaned out in the box. Ref took a couple of seconds and then was like, nah, that's got to be a penalty. And then we were thinking maybe Rio's going to take it, maybe Wilco's going to take it. But I think Kirsty needed that. I think she needed a bit of a boost. She won the penalty. Well, she got cleaned out to get the penalty. So I think it makes sense for Kirsty to take it. And made no mistake about it. Keeper goes down. She puts it over the keeper, back in it. 6-1.
Yeah, good penalties. You know, it always looks good when you send the keeper the wrong way, but nice way to cap off the win. You know, it was a struggle at times, but at the end of the day, winning 6-1, wrapping up before the international break, reasonably good day's work.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you make that many changes, it is going to be a bit more difficult than it normally would be if she went with her normal starting 11. Obviously, a few players getting rested, there are potential knocks. Hopefully, no knocks. Hopefully, with just having other players on the bench. But that is what happens when you make so many changes. It takes a while to settle in and, you know, figure each other out. But it came good in the end. Once I think their goal really woke us up a little bit because we couldn't hit the back of the net, and then once they scored, we settled down a bit. So yeah, in the end, it turned out not too bad. And I'm trying to be more positive than focusing on the negative things. So not a bad day at the office, really.
So, player of the match, who would you have went for?
I've got Ailey, Jane, and Chelsea written down here. You could honestly pick any of them, but I think, I mean, anybody that knows me knows that I'm probably going to pick Ailey most of the time, but I think she deserves it with it. I was going to say a couple of assists. I don't know if the first one's really her assist, but the second one definitely. And she was doing great work down that wing the whole game. And I think she's a credit to herself. Doesn't play an awful lot, but obviously in training's doing all the right things, you know, working hard to get better every week. A bit harsh on Jane, who scores 2 goals after not playing for a long time, but I'll give it to Ailey.
Yeah, I was really torn over Chelsea or Ailey for player of the match. You know, really good to see how Chelsea led the team, you know, especially in the first half, and got everybody sort of got their heads together after conceding that goal, you know, and she sort of led by example. But Ailey played the full game, you know, grew into the game, was excellent, and I think deserves to be credited with a couple of assists, you know, so I'll agree with Ailey. But international break now, since the last international break, you be quite happy with the form and the results?
Well, yeah, we've not lost a game, so that's good. It's always good when you win them. I think we needed the break, the first international break. I think the team was a bit in their heads. We were struggling a little bit with a couple of draws before the international break. So I think coming back, and especially getting the win over Celtic, I think did massive things for, you know, morale boost for the whole team. Obviously, this game, a bit of a slog with so many changes being made, but it came good in the end. You can't really be too mad at 6-1. So all in all, you know, we've come through it unscathed reasonably there, other than conceding every game that we seem to play in since, I think it was Graham had the stat that we've conceded in every game since what, October?
Game at the start of October, so, you know, shout out to Graham for that perler of a start. So after the break, but we come back and we travel up to Aberdeen to play Westdyke in the Cup on 8th of December. So as yet, we don't know the venue for that game. If you are looking to go, check your emails. The club have emailed it to everybody that will attend sort of women's games, and I think anybody with a Rangers account number will have an email. If you are looking to go to the game, please sort of respond to that survey the club have sent out. The club are looking for the information just to try and help decide how many fans can actually go. You know, Westside play somewhere with a very limited capacity, so club are trying to work with Westside and make sure it's somewhere that everybody that wants to go can actually attend the game. So we are running a bus. I'm not sure if we have any seats left, but check the group and check the Facebook page and you'll see any information on that if you search for it. But score predictor will be updated. The table will be up tomorrow. Our leaderboard hasn't been up for the last couple of rounds. It's been a busy time, so I'll fix that. But very, very good sort of take up in the last round. You know, very, very few people saw Hibs dropping points against Partick, but I think, Carl, that was a shock result of the week.
Yeah, and I don't think many people had us to concede, or if they did, well, they was scoring a lot more goals than 6 anyway. So, yeah, it's certainly an interesting one. That I assumed Hibs would go out and maybe not batter Partick, but they would, you know, play a bit better. I didn't see the game, so I don't know what happened. But yeah, it's certainly a tasty league this year. It's a lot more competition, Hibs and Hearts, and even to some extent Partick, even though they are a little bit further behind, are, you know, taking points off the other teams. So hopefully it's a sign that we can just kick on and go. And after the international break, we've got obviously Westdyke in the Cup and then Motherwell, and then Glasgow City pretty close together because it's midweek. Westdyke Sunday and then Motherwell midweek and then Glasgow City. So, you know, a few games that we have to go and get all the maximum points from.
Yep, and then we finish off before Christmas after that City game at home against Hibs. So four games between now and the end of the year. But international break and a massive 2 games for Scotland. You know, you hopeful for the 2 games, Carl?
I am, because Scotland seem to be in the ascendancy a bit just now, you know, playing really well, a few young players getting their chance. You know, I don't know though. Finland are a well-regarded team in women's international football, but I've noticed like a lot of different players being called up for the Finnish team, so I don't really know how they're going to play. But if we play like we played the last game, and I can't remember who we played against, but if Erin Cuthbert and Sam Kerr and Caroline Weir show up the way that they did in that game against Finland, we'll probably be all right. But it's what comes after that worries me, because we do not bad getting to this stage of things, and then we seem to crumble a bit after that. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Definitely, and we've done a bit by resting Nick Dock at the weekend, so she'll be absolutely flying into Friday. So unless there's anything else from you, Car, or we will all see you in 2 weeks for the Supporters Group podcast. We'll do that after the Westside game, and we'd like to think that's after our progression in the Cup. So, you know, enjoy your international break, enjoy the next couple of weeks, and we will see you soon.